Summer, Spring, Taro, and Mabel stood on chairs, looping streamers across the rafters of the summer house. The air was still, filled only with the sound of rustling paper and quiet laughter. Then, the world tilted. The ceiling joists groaned, and dust rained down as the entire structure shuddered. They dropped the streamers and scrambled toward the door, bursting out into the crisp spring air to find the source of the tremor. The sky above was clear, until a streak of neon blue cut through the clouds. It descended with a high-pitched whistle that grew into a roar. The object slammed into the pavement 20 yards away with a deafening crack. It did not shatter into jagged fragments. Instead, the impact triggered a massive, silent explosion. A cloud of shimmering glitter and fine, sparkling dust billowed outward, coating the grass and the nearby trees in a layer of iridescent powder. The four friends stood frozen, their eyes tracking the swirling dust as it settled. Taro took a step forward, his hand hovering near his mouth, while Mabel gripped the doorframe, her knuckles white. They stared at the crater. Taro pointed toward the horizon, where a trail of neon blue residue clung to the leaves and bark of the dense woods. The four friends moved forward, stepping over gnarled roots and pushing through thickets that shimmered with the same iridescent dust. The path ended abruptly in a clearing. Before them stood a massive, pyramid-shaped structure, its surface cold and smooth as obsidian. A blinding beam of light pulsed rhythmically from its apex, casting long, erratic shadows against the trees. With every pulse, the ground beneath their feet vibrated, rattling their teeth and forcing them to steady each other. Summer reached out, pressing a palm against the stone. It felt unnaturally warm. They found the seam of a heavy stone door and leaned their combined weight against it. The slab groaned, grinding against the earth until it swung inward with a heavy thud. They stepped inside, expecting a tomb, but found a chaotic office instead. In the center of the madness, a woman stood at a glowing console, her fingers flying across the keys as she tracked the shifting data on the screens. Sara spun around, her eyes wide as she caught sight of the four friends. She ripped the headset from her ears and slammed a clipboard onto the console. "You are not supposed to be here," she shouted over the rising mechanical drone. The hum of the room spiked, vibrating through the floor until the stacks of paper began to slide and tumble. She pointed to a glowing monitor where a map of the world flickered with red warning icons. "This is the Easter Bunny Company, but the system has been compromised. Someone hacked the delivery mechanism, turning every egg into a weapon of mass destruction." She grabbed 4 heavy iron wrenches from a nearby rack and shoved them into their hands. The floor beneath them shuddered as a massive gear overhead groaned, metal grinding against metal. "The stabilizers are completely misaligned," she yelled. "You must get to the basement immediately. There are 4 pillars down there. You have to rotate them simultaneously to cut the power before the next sequence launches." She gestured toward a narrow, dark staircase hidden behind a wall of filing cabinets. The air in the room grew hot, smelling of ozone and scorched wire. The machine let out a sharp, rhythmic screech, signaling that time was running out. Without waiting for a response, she turned back to the console, her fingers trembling. They scrambled down the narrow stairs, the air growing thick with the scent of damp earth and hot oil. The basement was a cavern of spinning gears and vibrating steel. 4 massive, egg-shaped pillars dominated the center, each pulsing with a jagged, neon blue light. The floor shook with every rotation of the central drive. They reached out, their hands gripping the cold, smooth surfaces of the stone. The machine groaned, a deep, resonant sound. Sparks showered down from the ceiling, hissing as they hit the metallic floor. Summer and Spring pushed left. Taro and Mabel locked their arms around the opposite side, pulling right with every ounce of their strength. The pillars resisted, grinding against the floor with a screech. Suddenly, a gear slipped, and the entire structure lurched. With a final, synchronized shove, the mechanism clicked into place. The blue light died instantly. They climbed back to the main floor, their hands still dusted with metallic grit. Sarah stood by the wall-mounted monitor, her posture sagging. She tapped a key, and the screen flickered to life. A news broadcast filled the room, showing a city square buried under layers of shimmering glitter and debris. The reporter pointed to a man in handcuffs being shoved into the back of a patrol car. His face twisted into a permanent, spiteful scowl. The report confirmed he had sabotaged the machinery out of pure malice. Sarah let out a long, shuddering breath and dropped her clipboard onto a stack of paper. The heavy silence of the room felt different now, stripped of the mechanical roar. She turned to the four friends, her eyes tracking each of them in turn. She offered a slow, weary nod, the tension finally draining from her shoulders. The chaos had ended. Outside, the spring air waited, quiet and still.